into the solution, I want to dive into certain patterns. And these patterns, understanding these patterns is understanding you. Because the more you understand the patterns, the more you're able to dissect what exactly is going on. Because sometimes our lens through life affects the way we embrace reality and exist in reality. And our lens could be jaded. Our lens could be tampered with. And our lens could hold us back. Because we have free will. So our free will entitles us the ability to have a lens to look at things a certain way. So understanding patterns that might come up is very helpful too in your anger management. The first pattern I want to talk about is obsessing on the shoulds and the musts. Having a rigid view of the way things should or must be, and getting angry when reality doesn't line up with the vision. This is the way something should be. If you always walking around with that, take 2 steps back. Because 20 times out of 20, there's reality that's still going to go on after you make that statement. There is a reality that still goes on after you get stuck on the should. And so be able to step back and say to yourself, okay, reality is going on right now. Let me be present. Let me not get stuck on the should. Or this must happen. The only thing that must happen is you wake up, you breathe, you move. And the only thing that other people in the world are supposed to do is wake up and breathe. Everything else is an expectation. And if that expectation is not met, does life stop? No. Is it normal for expectations to be unmet? Yes. And so when you realize that, you can't get stuck on the should and the must. Another pattern is mind reading and jumping to conclusions. For lack of better words, there has been a common phrase, assumptions only make an ass out of you. So if you moving in a way that you assume and you constantly concluding how life is going and then operating out of that and then not meet your conclusion, you are causing anger in your life that's unnecessary. Because again, reality is going on and it will still go on after your emotion. You have to learn how to be present. Okay. Another pattern is collecting straws. Looking for things to get upset about. Walking around being anal. No one's perfect. No situation is perfect. So you have to step back and realize, okay, in spite of my expectations, this is what's happening. You walking around bagging it up, bagging each straw. Now you walking around with a handful of straws and basically saying, well, this is not right, that's not right, this not right, this not right. And reality is still going on. So it's not going to change. So when you look at that, you're setting yourself up to be angry. You're walking around being anal and being stressed out on your own. On your own. And then the last pattern, because we could go on for days for patterns. But I wanted to dive into a couple common ones. So we can move forward and take 2 steps back and then let's find a solution. And then the last one is blaming. When anything bad happens or something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. You blame others for the things that happen to you rather than taking responsibility for your own life. And this is more common in relationships and business because people would rather walk around with a sense of entitlement, like everything they do is right. However, when a relationship goes wrong, you have to step back and take responsibility of your side. Did you communicate effectively? Was you present all the time? Did you show up and equal out to your words? So when you look at those components, you have to take responsibility. Okay, the deadline needs to be met on this project at work. Did you send out an clear and precise email to set that deadline date known to the team and make everybody aware, and also send a reminder with the possibility that some people might have forgot? So take responsibility. You can't keep walking around blaming everybody. Well, this relationship went bad. Okay. It did go bad. What ways did that person make it bad? And let's highlight, what ways did you do to make it bad? And when you look at yourself, highlight that bigger, because that's the only person that you can work on at that point. And so knowing that key concept, you stop blaming. You start looking at people a different way. And so you have to take responsibility. You can't keep blaming shifting. Well, this didn't work out because X, Y, and Z, da-da-da-da-da. Know people enough to know their setbacks, their shortcomings, and their uprisings. Some people are not strong in certain areas. So don't have this expectation like all of a sudden they're supposed to get strength because you make them aware of it. Sit back and say, okay, they're not strong in this area, so I don't need to have this expectation in this area for them. Can they gradually get strong in that area? Yes. But let them gradually get to the point of getting to that point where they strengthen that area. So those are the key patterns I really wanted to cover that I see common in a lot of people. Obsessing on the shoulds and the musts, mind reading and jumping to conclusions, collecting straws, blaming. Okay? So when you look at those things, you step back and you're like, okay, this is what's going on. This is my chance to manage my anger. I have the grace enough to have time to manage my anger. Now, some circumstances don't give you time to manage your anger. But if you're able to read the warning signs, understand the patterns that you do on a regular basis, that's grace enough to get it right, to manage your anger. So we're going over the last part, which is how you manage it. How do you manage that anger feeling after feeling it? And it's a couple of tips. It's many others, but it's a couple of tips I'm going to go over to help you get through your day, get through your week, get through your situations, be a more effective an adult in your relationships, in your business, in your family, in your life as a person. Because you want your actions to be even appreciated by you. where you could step back and say, I handled that very well. And I like the results that came out of it. And you are able to fall in love with different aspects of yourself. Many people walk around not loving themselves. And it's because of the ugly sides that they see, the way they manage life and the way they handle situations. And you have time. You have time to fall back in love with yourself or keep loving yourself, whatever state you're at. So, some key components to managing your anger. You want to focus on the physical sensation of anger. While it may seem counterintuitive, tuning into the way your body feels when you're angry often lessens the emotional intensity of your anger. When you identify that you're angry, you're able, just with that type of process of engaging your mind in what's going on right now, you're able to lessen the intensity behind the feeling. Because again, anger management is not meant to suppress anger. It's meant for you to acknowledge that it exists and how to respond in a way that's both effective for you, your community, and your relationships. Another tip when you take 2 steps back is take some deep breaths. Some people call it woosah. Yoga is, I call it yoga breaths, where basically you inhale, you take a deep inhale through your nose and you exhale through your mouth. Take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. So you could take 2 steps back and just breathe. Even if it's short breaths, you don't have to do the yoga breath. You don't have to do the woosah. You might just need the and it gradually slows down. Sometimes taking 2 steps back might mean going to exercise. You might have to factor in a time in your day, like where you know you're overwhelmed with goals and agendas that you need to take care of. You're flustered with the kids, you're flustered with work, you're flustered with your marriage. You might need to take the time out, take 2 steps back and work out. And that's just as effective as taking 2 steps back and just having self-reflection. Because as you exerting that energy, you're thinking. If you're blasting music while you're working out, you're still in a process of filtering some other energy in your body. So it's lessening the intensity behind the emotion. So you could be more effective at delivering while you're angry. Another tip is using your senses. Taking advantage of the relaxing power of your sense of sight, your sense of smell, your sense of hearing, your sense of touching and tasting. You might try listening to music or picturing yourself in your favorite place. And that activity is only allowing you to lessen the intensity behind the emotion.